sure, I can.
So we'll just quickly start with stuff like what is good content, where all is it important. We'll try to skip all the stuff that everyone knows, right? And then we'll sort of move to when we are saying content, right? Some people are thinking about articles, some are thinking about copy. It could be a lot of different kinds of content. So what are we talking about? Or what are the different kinds? And then we'll try to wrap this up as fast as possible, and then we'll go into experiences and things we've done to improve our content skills individually. Does that work?
Yes.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. I guess that's my cue. I'm audible properly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what is good content? Good question. Something that I've been juggling with for a lot of years now. So, after having done articles, blogs, ebooks, and now copy, one thing that the only answer that I can, it's first of all, it's very difficult to give a one-line answer to what is good content, but as far as I understand, the only answer that I can think of in that respect is whatever directly hits or directly speaks to your audience is good content. Okay, so as part of Spear Growth's process that we follow for creating content, one thing that has now become sort of like a standard is our three-step approach to creating any content. Three-step, the first thing that we figure out when we create any sort of content, be it a landing page copy, be it a Google ad copy, be it a LinkedIn ad copy, any sort of copy. What is
Or
the
a
goal?
blog.
Or a blog, yes, or a blog, or a landing page for our website, anything. So the first thing that we try to figure out is what is the goal behind containing that particular piece or creating that content. So figuring out a goal is essential to staying on track with everything, basically, because it's easy, or I would say it's natural to think of any sort of content from your own perspective or how you see it, but how you see it might be different from what the actual purpose for that content is supposed to be. And at the end of the day, when you put in so much of effort, when you put in the time that you have on a content, if it eventually fails at achieving its goal or its original purpose, pretty much no use of spending that much of time on that. So the first step that we try to figure out is what is the goal for creating that content. The second thing that we try to figure out is who is the audience? Who are we speaking to? Figure out exactly who you're speaking to. So when I say exactly, you might have a very broad audience in mind, but for every single piece or every single set of copies maybe, or every single landing page, there would be very specific kind of audience that you intend to impact with that piece. So always have that content. It's
Give
essential.
an example.
Um, for example, okay, I'll take an example of one of our own clients. So uh, they are a client in the farming industry. So now, when you talk about the farming industry, it's a pretty broad segmentation. So if I say that I have to create a landing page for someone or a company in the farming industry, that creates a sort of an assumption in your mind that what kind of content you might want to create. But what exactly in the farming industry are they doing, or who exactly in the farming industry are they serving? Having that clarity in your mind is very important. So for this particular client, for example, there are multiple industry segments that they are serving. For each segment, the copy will be different, the content will be different, right? What lines you're using, what headlines you're using, what sort of USPs you're projecting, what are the challenges for that particular segment would be different. Now, again, coming to audience, which stage of the buyer's journey are the audience in? Are they at a top of the funnel level where they're just looking for information? Are they at the bottom of the funnel where they're actually looking to make a purchase decision? So having that kind of clarity with respect to the audience will help in further refining your copy and helping again with achieving the goal that it's supposed to achieve. So once you have set out the goal, you have to have clear picture of who the audience is. Once you've solved those two pieces of the puzzle, the third one would be the exact message, and pretty much the exact message that you want to communicate. I would say from my experience that once you have a clear picture of the goal and the audience, figuring out what message you want to put out becomes a lot easier than doing it. Yes, correct. This could also be an offer. So again, message. So what is the message? Do you want the audience to just book a demo? So what is the offer? You could if the audience is at the buying stage, you could give an offer that they may not be able to refuse. You could give an offer of savings. You could give an offer of double the savings, or get so much of savings on your spend, cut down your spend and things like that. So what
Should
is
we take an real example now? Like, does anyone want to volunteer? We can maybe try to write a small copy now, and then try and define these things, and then do it again, just to see that how, if it really makes an instant difference.
Ishan, I have an example of my previous and the current one. So if once Sukriti finishes it, I will take up the
Sure.
next
Yeah,
example.
but let's do something live. Like, does anyone, maybe not from Sphere Growth, want to volunteer on that? Hey, like, this is, I am ready to try and just write, or like just like say a line of copy, right? Instead of anyone? Gautam, are you saying that you're in?
I mean,
Ah, perfect. Cool. So, um, okay. So let's say you have to write an ad. So, do you want to pick your own industry, or let's pick something that everyone knows, right? Let's pick um, let's pick Spear Growth's website. I think that'll be easier. So let's say we are your client, right? And we have to run an ad. To We have to run an ad, and yeah, if you have to write an ad for us, that's it. That's the entire thing. You can ask any questions. You can do whatever you want, right? Or let's say for this one, right? This basically means that we run ads, right? We're an agency that runs ads, and we have to create some sort of copy for that. And it does not have to be obviously the copy, just like a rough notes on what your copy will contain. It shouldn't be the final copy, because that takes time to refine.
mhm.
Just whatever you're thinking, maybe you can talk about that.
The thing is, this is hardcore B2B, right? I don't really have that context to the ethical
Okay,
side of it.
great. Okay, do you want to take a different company that everyone, or let's stick to the example, or do you use Slack or something? That
Yes,
again,
yes,
so okay, Slack. Let's say you want to write an ad about Slack.
yep,
Does that work?
yep. Well, we could give that a shot.
So, what would your message be? Uh,
I think we could start off with the core what is a outcome of Slack, which is to make communication among teams seamless and essentially reduce slack for the people during work, right? So the core message would be like uh, to make sure give the message to the consumers that there would be no what I say um, roadblocks or bottlenecks whatsoever in terms of communication between teams, such that your work progresses seamlessly.
Okay, got it. Right. So let's say this is between teams. Right. So this is the message. Obviously, we can jazz it up. We can make it copy. But this is
Mhm.
what you sort of roadblocks or frictions between teams is what your message will be. Right. This is
Yeah.
what we mean by message. It's not exactly the copy, but this is what your copy will say. Right. Now this is great. But for example, if we start adding, and this is really good. Right. So now, but let's say we start adding other information. The first one was, let's say, the goal, right? Like, what do we want this ad to do? So let's say we want people um, to. This is a team, right? So maybe we want people to just sign up for free,
Yeah.
right? Or the goal could also be that, hey, no, we want only very large companies to come in and stuff like that. But let's say we just want people to sign up for free for now, right? The audience. So who is the exact audience that we want to target for this ad, right? So one, you can say that, okay, any company in the world using just who works with teams, right? Uh, it who which has a team, which is basically any company can use Slack, right? Now, what if, and then Sukriti mentioned that your audience that you're mentioning here, right, needs to be a smaller audience of this. So let's
Uh,
say, because someone mentioned they work in a Web3 startup, right? So let's take startups. So let's say we are writing this ad only for startups, right?
I think how about we do it in a way that since we're catering to a certain audience, how about we do we concentrate on typical teams in orgs where there is roadblocks. Like if you see any team, like say sales, marketing, and say
Mhm.
development team, we know that one team always has a lot of friction or roadblocks.
Let's take
So
sales teams in startups,
yeah,
right? So it's sales teams, and then I'm just like rushing it because it's a session, right? I don't want to like drag this out for
yeah,
too long, right? And then now, if you try to define the message, right, it sales teams in startups, like you probably won't say this, right? You will now be able to write something much more clearer, which says that now if you try, like, yeah, why don't you give it a shot now that you know that it's only for sales teams in startups. So you, and then if you want to go even further, right, you can also start defining what do they already know.
probably
They
something
know,
like clear the clutter and boost the sales, something like that.
right, right. So again, this is not the copy, but this is the message,
Yeah,
right? And if you look at this message being shown to a salesperson versus this message being shown to a salesperson, right? This is obviously, this will just work better. Everyone on the call sort of knows it because it's more relevant,
yeah,
right? And it didn't take us that long to define this, right? And usually the mistake almost that a lot of copy, or like something that I used to miss out personally, was that when I would try and write something, right, I would never even ask for this. It was that, hey, I want 3 ads. Great. Or I want an article with 1500 words for this company. Great. And that's it, right? As soon as you define it, it hardly took us like 5 minutes. As soon as you define it, the message is suddenly much more clearer, and it's very obvious, right? That, by the way, you're a great copywriter. But even if it was someone else, I'm assuming that you would be able to create something much more relevant just because you spent 2 minutes on this. And that's what Sukriti was sort of pertaining to,
got it.
referring to. Yeah. So that's point number one. Sukriti?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess we've pretty much covered the goal,
Yeah.
audience, and message part of the equation. Coming to where
You want to jump straight to the experiences?
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
I am getting a call. Can
Yeah, done.
yeah,
I'll manage.
yeah.
Right. So, uh, what are the different kinds of when you say content, what were you thinking about? Like in the session, that what kind of content were you thinking that you want, or what do you want to get better at? Because content is just like way too broad, right? You can drop it in the chat, you can say it out, anything. Anyone? Long form content, blogs. So long form could be blogs, it could be ebooks, which could be gated, it could be like a it could even be like a multi-phase guide, right? LinkedIn, I'm assuming you mean LinkedIn posts, Sarajit.
Yep.
Anything else? Just there's a lot of other stuff. We just spoke about ads. It could be ads. All of this still comes under the realm of content, right? Anything else? Or okay, you want to get better at the strategy part, like what do you do with the content? But again, like at the content creation part, right? It could be like web copy, it could be and even in web copy, right? Like the how you create when you're working on like the blog page, it's very different from, let's say, the home page, right? So content is very broad, like in general. Now let's sort of maybe go through. So we are sort of working, yeah, definitely structuring. How do you structure the content? Yeah. Okay, great. So there's a lot of different kinds of content, right? So the experiences also maybe from different parts of content creation, or how maybe we tackled different parts of the, or different kinds of content. Let's not try and structure it, right? I think Sukriti is on a call. Rashmi, do you want to start with? So Rashmi did something really cool recently. Do you want to share that?
Yes, Ishaan. Okay. So yeah, I will introduce myself. I'm Rashmi. I'm Rashmi Chimalki. I work as a B2B copywriter in Spear Growth. And when I joined Spear Growth, I was under impression that I'm a very good content writer. I know everything. Like I categorized myself in those top level content writers, but the myth was soon busted by Ishaan. when he read my piece of content, he said, no, this won't work, and your English is a very big problem. He gave a very harsh feedback. And yes, and then that was a turning point. So Ishaan asked me to do something. He actually asked me to go back to the school days. Okay. So in the school days, what I did to improve my English, that only I had to do. So what I will do, I will share the example, like how before joining Spear Growth, how I used to write the content, and when I implemented that strategy, and how my content improved, and post that I will share the strategy. Okay. So okay. So this is one content which I wrote an year back. Like the title was the future of marketing and how to cope with it. The client gave me this title. Okay, but I did something blunder. I wrote exploring the future and all that. So here, when I revisited my previous content, I examined it, and I did some red marks to understand what went wrong. Okay, so first thing, the exploring the future of marketing, how the market future can't be explored, right? Future can be predicted, present can be explored, and past can be recalled. So this was the first. The sentence is wrong itself. The second one, when you read the introductory first sentence, like when it comes to marketing, changes are happening almost every day at a surprising rate. What is this sentence? There is no meaning. There is meaning, but it should have written in some more smart way. So even if you go and read the introduction, you will understand how very cliche English I have written. I used to write like, if you want to stay firm in this competitive world, you are bound to stay updated. Oh my god. So how can you say I want to stay firm in this competitive world? No, I should have been used some good phrase, some smart English, like if you want to maintain a competitive edge, or if you want to outshine your competitors, that would sound more cool. And you are bound to stay updated. No, why this is unnecessary fluff. I used to. You must stay updated. And the thing is, by adjusting to today's consumers demands is a complex process. Again, now if when I'm talking about future, why I'm talking about today, my blog should talk about the future of marketing, so my introduction also should be relevant to that future, but I'm talking about today's consumer. And the next thing is how creatively you can act to sustain your top position in the market. Again, some weak English. And this is again to keep your consumers attracted to your business. Attract what is attracted to your business. It's not a Hollywood actress, right? Attracted, something different. So this is, and even if you read a whole introduction, that it lacks conceptual clarity. Like what I wanted to say is completely different from what is written here. The future of marketing and how to stay in hash-win position, I should have written some to the points, and there should be some example like what the readers can expect. And as Sukriti said, that the thing I should have figured out what are the goals, audience, and the message I want to convey to my audience. So since those things were lacking, I wrote something nonsense like this. And when I started my content writing career, I was under impression like what I used to do, honestly. I used to read some writers' blogs, take that, alter some words, make some, exchange some words and publish it. I thought it was content writing, but that is not a content writing. So that was I used to do. So when after I joined Pure Growth, okay. So this is just a minute. Yeah. So this one is the recently I wrote a content. Okay. It was a guest post. It is not published yet. We have to yet hear from them. But then as Ishaan taught me to do like this, like we have to first define the goals, audience, message, what do they know, what they want to achieve, and the channel. So this blog is about the explainer, the length of the explainer video. You might be probably know what the explainer video is like. All B2B businesses have. If you go visit YouTube, 1 minute video, they publish 1 minute video where they explain in short about their business. So those are explainer videos. So what should be the perfect length of that explainer videos is the core content, a core message of that blog. And when I defined the goals, audience, I was clear that what I have to write and what my audience want to read. And hence, if you read this introduction, if you read the title, what should be the perfect length of your B2B SaaS explainer videos? The introduction starts. If you are searching for a short and crisp answer, the ideal length is 90 seconds. I haven't added any unnecessary jargon. I didn't throw any stats. I didn't throw any something quotes or proverbs. No, it's a to the point. And when it comes to, this is the introduction, short and crisp, and it has conceptual clarity. When the reader reads this introduction, he knows what he will get. And here also I have given one example, like what example, a product explainer video is different from a demo explainer.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what the reader will get, and it invokes the curiosity in the reader, and he will go on reading. Okay, even if you see the subheadings, if I know the best length for demo, even also the purpose of sharing product demo videos is just to the point, crisp and clear, and the reasons, backed by the reasons, that why many marketers argue that product demo should be 10 minutes, but that's not true. I have given 2 reasons and then one example, backed by example. So this is how the flow of the blog goes, and that was make the difference from this garbage. So what worked then, and how did I improve this? So the only thing I implemented is the copywork technique. Copywork technique literally means that you have to take a piece of content and a pen, a paper, and some privacy you need. Privacy is very important because if some TV is playing in background or some people are talking, it won't work. This copywork technique won't work. What copywork means, literally you have to copy the sentence of that block and write in your notebook. That is now here I followed McKinsey marketing blogs. They are very good blogs. They have very great English. So what I used to do now, for example, what does modern marketing mean to you? We cannot probably think of all that. I used to take this read this sentence, try to memorize. See, you don't have to mug up here. Just try to read the sentence, um, try to memorize some words and write down in your notebook with a pen. You don't have to type. We know we are content writers, we need type, but when you take a pen and write it, it works the best. So write that sentence. Then you can start with this paragraph also. For example, read this paragraph or try to memorize some words. See if you can remember. Even if you don't remember, you can see and write. Once you write it down on a notebook, open a notepad or any word file and type it looking from that notebook. Don't look this block. So like this, if you follow this technique, what happens, your mind unknowingly absorbs those the sentence structure, the grammar, some power words. If of course it will not absorb in one go. You have to practice it daily, at least for 10 to 15 minutes. If you practice this technique for 10 to 15 minutes daily, you will definitely see the results. Now I will tell you the how the our mind works. Now since you are writing it two times, one you are writing with your hand and then you are typing it again on digitally, so your mind will unknowingly absorb these words, hallmarks of modern marketing, or harness the full capabilities of business, or like we probably think of clever digital market, innovative app, some inspired creative, like see, it's very easy English and it's very straightforward English. So you have to do this copy work daily. It's not like once you started improving, that doesn't mean that you have to stop it. You have to do it daily. You can follow any blogs. I follow McKinsey blog. You can also follow the Shopify blog. Like if your niche is related to writing, niche is related to e-commerce, you can follow Shopify. They also have a very good content. Like multi-channel selling, how to decide on sales channels for your business. So if you read the introduction, multi-channel selling is a process of selling product. It's so simple and straightforward. The writer hasn't added anything, something difficult or like this. And then she has backed by example. So if you write all this, start writing this in your paper by looking here and write on the paper, your mind will unknowingly absorb all this, the sentence structure, grammar, and whatever you need to write in better content. Now you might have came across some solutions, like you have to join some crash course. If you want to improve the writing, join some content writing crash course, or start reading difficult newspapers like New York Times and all those. Or and the third technique was like, you can read all the, see, reading won't improve your English. When you start writing it, then only your English will improve. Reading will unnecessary, reading can help, but writing has more power. So that's what I have experienced from this, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope everybody understood what I said.
Yeah, that yeah,
Rashmi, check the comment section once.
Yeah, check the chat box once, Rashmi. You were on fire.
yeah. So literally, like Rashmi wrote some blogs, and I'm very straightforward with my feedback. I'm not a bad person, but I am. So I sort of like just I gave the feedback, right? Rashmi, and no one does copy work. Like no matter how many times you tell someone, no one would do copy work. Rashmi took it. I think it took her less than 1 or 2 months, and then she wrote the second blog, and I'm like, what happened? Like, how is this? Like, how did you do this? And then she told me that she was actually doing it. How was she doing it? She had her own spin to the process. So hats off to her, honestly. Yeah.
By the way, Rashmi has insane speed. She's
Oh
very
yeah,
fast.
like
Yeah, totally.
her the speed at which she works is
We can't beat that. We
Thank you.
can
Thank you.
beat that.
yeah. Yeah.
Rashmi, please read the comments once.
Yeah. Sukriti, do you want to go next? You had some.
Yeah. So after, actually, it's tough to follow into Rashmi's steps. She was great.
Even
With-
I am also nervous after this.
Yeah, but okay, here goes. So
Yeah.
it's all right. When I before joining Spear Growth, the majority of content that I had written was into articles, blogs, ebooks, so long form content basically. Um, when you write long form content, the mindset that you have is drastically different from what you have when you're writing copy, ad copy, or landing page copy. Landing page, yes, I had written earlier. I had written multiple landing pages earlier, but to be very honest, the kind of clarity and the kind of direction that I have now is much better than what I had earlier. I can say that from personal experience. Why? Because of the very process of figuring out the whole messaging audience. That just those three things have given a new perspective to the way that I look at all kinds of writing now, not just copy, even long form content. So, first of all, thanks to Spear Growth, I ventured into Google ad copywriting, which I never thought I would be doing. I had primarily done, as I said, long form content, landing pages. I had not written headlines, and I had not written LinkedIn ads or things like that earlier. And once I started with Spear Growth, that is what I could explore. And using Ishan's inputs from time to time, he keeps saying that he's not a good copy person, but that is an utter lie. He has the right mindset. He has that direction which everybody should have. So that direction and that mindset has actually shaped so much, and it has helped me, and I'm sure it has helped everybody on our team to visualize, what the final copy would look like to an audience who is reading that, and will it create that mindset that you want to create. So as what I feel is, as a content writer, many times we are so bogged up into our own perception of that article that we sometimes get sidelined by what we want to say instead of what the audience wants to hear. And having that distinction in the mind is very important to achieve or to create a piece that actually works. So again, coming back, and that again comes back to the goal, audience, and message. So before writing, if we know what we want that piece to achieve, who we are talking to, and what is the message that we want them to hear, automatically, if our content will come out in a way that we can be sure will hit the audience in the right way. And I've been able to do that myself as part of Spear Growth, and it has shaped. And now it's so funny that if I look at some of my own pieces from when back when I first started writing, just as Rashmi said, I can spot so many loopholes. I can spot so many errors that, why this? Why did I ever, what was I thinking when I was writing on this? So that is what growth is actually. So that is
what is the one technique that, if you can share one specific thing that you did, was it the goal, message, audience thing?
Yes. Having the clarity of who you're speaking to, why you're speaking that, and what exactly do you want? Instead of, beating around the bush, say exactly what you want to say in as less, because everything. So another important thing that I've learned is the attention span of the audience. It's very hard to capture that and sustain that attention span. In order to sustain that attention, you have to stop beating around the bush. Even if it's a long form content, you have to stay on point and still manage to, just say everything, cover all the points. In copy as well, it works. It just works. So yeah, the goal audience and message is what I swear by now for all kinds of content, and just having that kind of clarity will, I think, make a huge difference to any content writer in any form of content.
Got it. Yep. So 3 things, right? Copy working, goal, message, audience, goal, audience, message, and then the third one is like cut, right? Just make it as to the point as possible, right?
I think Jasminder had a query. Rashmi, could you just?
Yeah, maybe if we can
Yeah.
take that in the comments in the
Yeah.
chat as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony, do you want to share something? Like, do you want to go next? Like, what have you done to sort of, like, at any point in time in your career, have you done to sort of like get better at copy?
Yeah, can I do it in the last?
Sure. Divya, do you want to go or?
I have a question.
Yep.
So, how do I stick to the point and write long form content? If I stick to the point, I can't write more. And that is my problem when I write long form content.
I can sort of understand where you're coming from, Shweta. I have had that problem myself in the past, but there's a very thin line between fluff and between explaining things better. So that is what we need to actually identify especially when it comes to long form content. Ishaan wants to say something.
Yeah, just get more information.
So when you're explaining stuff, again, as I said, there's a very thin line. So stuff like if there is a sentence, for example, it's a very basic example, but I hope that it is able to clear your query. If there is a sentence which you think is expanding to, for example, 3 lines, maybe there can be a way to either break it up or shorten, and there would definitely be a way to shorten it to 1.5 lines and still be able to explain what you're trying to say. So finding out shorter or more concise ways to say what you're trying to explain would be pretty helpful. It would help you to explain stuff while not going overboard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can try it out, and maybe it would impact the article, because we're talking about long form content. It might impact the word length, but definitely the value of your piece would be much higher. And if you're, if you are still short of your word length, maybe there's more information that you can include in the content. Maybe examples, maybe scenarios or things like that.
Yeah, in that Shopify article, there was that example, no? After the definition, yeah,
correct. So things like that will again improve the value proposition of your content. So yeah.
Thank you.
No worries at all.
So only apart from me, only Tony is left, right?
Yeah, so I can do it now.
You can do it now or after me, like, whenever you prefer. You want to do it now? Please go for that.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll
Hi,
also add
guys.
something like
Sure.
after Ishaan. You go, please. I'll add.
Okay.
I'll add up. Okay.
Yeah, Tony.
Okay, so see, when I started copywriting, right? Like when I first started out, I basically thought that copy is just a tool. It is like a one-off skill to get me more cash. It's like I always focus on building skills that make me enough cash, and copy is one of that. And my friends, they were into Facebook ads, Google ads, and explainer videos and stuff. So we all joined together back. This was back like when I was doing college days. So at that time I quit college and I started doing with copywriting. And the first time I started with like just like either businesses, I thought like I should go with SaaS because it's more easier. Now, the copy itself, like you could have like I'm just going to talk about blogs and landing pages. So the main structure I follow is back then when I first started out, I used to write out the old ads by handwriting, like just like handwritten. By old ads, I mean that old content. I mean like Gary Halbert or like real old ads in the 1990s. So this gave me like a good picture of how these ads were structured from the beginning. Like so, I just basically understood by writing it down like on a daily basis. This is one of the best skill that you can follow. After that, you have after that you can just start working on, like whenever you start working on anything, there could be some blockages. Yes. So how I solve it? Basically, like when I want to create something new, I use my Word document and I create subheadings and headers, and I use like a table of contents to verify or to just see the content for reference. Now, let's assume that you want to create something new. If you know the subject matter entirely, you can basically create the content out of like by yourself. You don't need any help. So to do this, what you need to do is you need to absorb the material as much as you can. So if I want to write about Slack, I will just go about Slack and just try to understand what is it about and how people talk about it in the reviews, in the comments, in the YouTube, or in other places. Like what is the main value, the main values that they offer, everything. I would do this like, so whenever I do this, while I'm doing it, I'll take down notes. I'll take down important words and just write it down randomly in the Word document. Now in the same Word document, I will try to create subheadings for that. Like basically, like so I can refer it later on when I'm actually writing. So by doing this process for like, let's say for 1 to 3 days, I will get some understanding about Slack or any new matter that you want to write about. With this matter at hand, what you do is you just stop looking at the Slack. You just stop looking at Slack hereafter. So you completely shut down on any new material and just focus on what you have, the document that you have. And with this material, like on a daily basis, like when you go about your day, you will get thoughts or you will get information directly. So for me, this happens. Like whatever I have written in the document, in the draft document, I will get ideas. So when I get ideas, I will jot down the copy or the content, and I'll try to structure, optimize wherever necessary. And this is one of the ways I used to create blogs. Now, the first thing that I used to do, like when I was back then, I went through Eugene Stewart's. Okay, so these two books are very useful. Like for example,
Maybe you can drop them in the
yes. Oh,
chat.
no, not this. Okay, yeah. Hold on. It is these two books. So these two books are like very useful. And it is still useful because whatever I read before, I would keep reading it again. Like so, it's a good habit. And every time I come across the old material, it seems new, and it keeps on updating myself. So I don't need new information unless if I really have to, or else I'll just try to stick with the old and try to refine the knowledge as per my own intuition. Now, so to create a landing page, a structure, instead of the copy itself, I try to focus on the main picture, the main overall picture, which means this could be the copy, the ads, the audience, the image, the styling, the colors, everything that goes along with the copy and the landing page. For landing page structure, I would go into Y Combinator. So the link will be this one. So in this link, I would try to look at other, for example, if I want to write a landing page for a SaaS company, I would look into Y Combinator, just go through any of their best landing pages, try to see how they structure it. And whenever I see something good, like the picture or the copy or anything, I would just take it. I would just copy and paste it in my same document. So that this document is like very long. Now it becomes very long as I keep on adding it. Now finally, with this information, I can try to structure the content for a landing page. This is how I do it. Yeah, that's let's just keep it short. And is there anything you like? Is there anything you like to know about whatever I said, or about the landing page and blogs? Anything?
This sounds good, right? So for example, I'll just summarize it. One, correct. So one is like just spend time on understanding the company USP and all of that. Make notes, then take a break, observe the ideas that you get, and also note those down. Read some good books. Tony shared two: Breakthrough Advertising, Breakthrough Brilliance, or Brilliance Breakthrough. Then one more thing that he said was focus more on the structure rather than the actual than the copy initially, and also focus on the stuff around the copy rather than just the copy. And finally, the last point was use inspiration, right?
Yeah. So this is like one of the ways that I could do, but for you, it could be different, because for everyone, for individual, for each individual, your strengths, your values, it could be different. So whatever you want to write or you want to do depends on your actual values and like what you intend to do. So yeah, I think I have summarized, and Ishaan has completely summarized whatever I said. Anything else?
No.
Or like, do you have any questions?
If you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat. For the sake of time, we'll keep going. Tony can answer questions in the chat.
All right.
Divya,
So,
do you want to go next, because it's 5 minutes, right? So
Yeah, sure. So I'm also a copywriter at Spear Growth. I've been working with Spear Growth since last 7 months. And yeah, so when I started working in in Spear Growth, I was also in the impression, not in the total impression that I'm a good writer, but an average writer, like not a bad writer. So I started writing. I think Ishaan would be a better person here to answer that. When I started writing, I was taking a lot of time to write. Like I am a big procrastinator. I'm a big writing. When you're writing, like you're always lazy, to write. It was a big thing for me. Like I was very lazy to write anything. And after Ishaan sending me the process to how to write, not to sound repetitive, but the goal, audience, message really worked out for me. Like when I started doing that, I took like half the time when I used to write earlier, and the content was much better. So I think the goal audience message is the trick. Everyone should follow it in all the content pieces. And I am trying as much as I can to follow that in my writings at Pure Growth. And yeah, I think Ishaan would tell how the content improved when I started following that in the starting. So yeah, I procrastinate less now because now I know what is my goal, who am I targeting, and what I have to write. So that really worked out for me. Yeah.
this is really cool. So following the structure helped you procrastinate less because it gave you a clearer idea of what the steps are and what to expect and what.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I knew how, like, I know now how, whom am I targeting? Like, what is my audience? Now I know kahan ढूंढना है content जाके. Now that I don't have to struggle. I don't have to find the content everywhere, you know. So that really worked out for me. So thanks, Ishaan, for always guiding. Yeah, that's my story. Ishaan, you can continue.
Yep. Got it. Great. Do you have any? If you have any questions, you can continue like dropping them in the chat.
Yeah, sure.
I will quickly just go through a couple of them. Of this, we have 3 minutes. I'll just rush through what I have done to try and improve my writing. One is so I suck at the flow of content, right? So this is a book that, and I only read fiction, by the way. This is a book that I got, the 40 Rules of Love. I hate this book. It's a very beautiful book, but I hate it because they use really complex words. They use really flowy language and really long sentences, and I my writing is very choppy, right? So I want to become a better orator. Like when I speak with people, when I go on sales calls, when I go on different places, I want to be able to speak better, communicate better. So this is one. So just take a book that is very different from your style of speech or your style of writing, and then just I'm creating an audiobook of this. I'm on like maybe 25% or 30% of the book I've done, but I'm slowly creating an audiobook out of the entire thing, and and I'm making sure I go through all the voice modulation and everything while I'm doing it. It's not exactly like written content, but audio content, which is I'm trying to improve. This has been really helpful and really fast for some reason. Second thing would be social media, right? I've been posting on LinkedIn for a very long time. It helps. So yeah, definitely I'll sell the audiobook. So I've been posting on LinkedIn, right? So it helps you get very quick feedback. I post a post, and by the next day I know whether it did well or not, right? So having a very short feedback loop helps you figure out, okay, what works, what does not work. And my entire audience is the same audience that we sell to, or most of our clients sell to. So because of that, I'm able to sort of very quickly see, okay, what kind of message, what kind of words work. And I do that like 3 or 4 times a week. I'm getting that feedback. So over a couple of years, that becomes a lot of feedback that you have, and really fast feedback, right? Anything else that you write, it takes a while to get that, right? Another one, practice frameworks. Just go online, get a bunch of frameworks, you can practice it. Another sort of thing you can do is you can look at an ad, and I would recommend looking at video ads, right? Try to find the best video ads. Some of the some in the fitness niche, you usually find very good ads, right? So find something very good and see how they have structured it, and try and sort of write out the just write out what they have said, right? And then divide every sentence into a category. That, okay, this is a hook, identify that. Okay, this is, they're trying to explain it a bit further. This is this sentence, this is that sentence, right? Try and categorize that entire thing, and you'll see that all of these different things, these are amazing copywriters who spent a lot of times after a lot of revision, and this is the structure they were able to come up with. And then write for your own niche using their structure. It will blow your mind how amazing that looks like, right? It just improves your copy by a lot, right? And then one would be get a really good person who can sort of help give feedback, right? For example, Sukriti gives feedback on everything before it goes live. So get someone who can give a lot of feedback on your content. It could just be a friend, if not a manager or a mentor, right? Apart from that, you can also try rewriting the same content in different ways, right? And one very good example here would be, for example, just write it in varying sentence lengths. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to share this, and you can see it's in the comments. In the comments of this post, you'll find an example of how varying the sentence lengths, or writing the same thing with longer sentences, with shorter sentences, with different size sentences is possible. And you can practice that. And it's a really interesting thing to practice. And obviously, there's always tools, Grammarly, Hemingway that you can use. So yeah, that's I think we are up on time as well. That's everything. I hope this was helpful. I'll stop the recording. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for coming. We will have sessions regularly, so yeah, you can please feel free to join the next one as well. Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks.